Welcome to the Bourbon Friday show. We're talking business and bourbon. I'm your host, Nick Niehaus, and today I'm excited to talk to my friend Erin Joy, who's the founder and CEO of Black Dress Circle. So Erin, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Well, the first thing I want to ask you about is you have a pretty exciting event coming up. And I wanted to dig into that first.
Yep.
So tell us about your event.
So I'm bringing Matthew Ferry to St. Louis. Okay. Matthew is a master life coach. He's a spiritual teacher. He is a longtime entrepreneur. Okay. He has been a friend and mentor of mine for about 22 years.
Wow.
For me, he is the single most influential person in my life in terms of, I was heading down one path in life. I met Matthew when I was about 23 years old and made a complete change in the trajectory of my life.
Okay.
And so Matthew's coming to town to talk about quiet mind and how having a quiet mind can really expand your performance as an entrepreneur.
Gotcha.
So he is a guy who's worked with everyone from Wall Street to Main Street. His clients are startup founders, real estate agents, creatives, artists, high-powered people. He has clients in the billionaire status, and he helps these people and people like me and you. I know Vanessa's coming. You can't come, but Vanessa will be there. It helps people like us really bring our creative inspiration into the world in a way that has us be free and free of the chatter in our mind that stops us from taking action.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's dig into that a little bit, right? Because I think this concept of quiet mind or the idea of getting into flow states, things like that, is so challenging now, right? I mean, especially because of
you have to turn that off.
Right?
You have to turn that off.
Phone, right? So so obviously turn the phone off or do some things there. But like when we talk about a quiet mind or getting into this place mentally, like what does that look like?
Well, technically, it's enlightenment.
Okay.
Which is not a word that you often hear coupled with a conversation about business or entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But using Matthew's rapid enlightenment process, my mind went silent a couple of years ago. In fact, he interviewed me the other day for a video he's creating for Forbes. He's on the Forbes Coaches Council. And he said, now when you have unwanted thoughts, what do you do about those? And I was like, well, I really only think about the things that I want to think about. There was a time in my life where I had intrusive thoughts where I'd be having thoughts about myself and other people. And, before I knew it, I was down these rabbit holes. And I really don't have that experience anymore.
Really?
Which I know is kind of strange to even think about. But that is how I am able to do what I do in the world. A lot of people look at what I do and they say to me, like, I don't know how you do it all.
Yeah.
But I'm not being dragged down by a lot of distractions and unwanted mental chatter.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I'd love to learn how to do that myself.
Well, come next Friday.
Yeah, well, I can't come.
I know you're coming to the happy
Everybody
hour.
else can come.
Everyone else can come
right?
To Innovation Hall here in St. Louis next Friday, October 18th.
Awesome, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to tell me about the benefits of this kind of getting to this place, right? Because I think as business owners, especially, but as a lot of people who are trying to perform at a higher level, right? I mean, for me, I'm always having new ideas, thinking of new things, and you almost have this sense of like, ooh, I should try this because maybe it'll be better than what I'm currently doing. Tends to be pretty destructive in most cases, right? Because you get distracted from what you're already working on.
That's right.
So what kind of benefits did you see? So you kind of feel like you got to this place where you stopped having these distractions. Like what kind of changed in your life or your business?
Well, I really have the experience of myself being fearless.
Okay.
And it's almost a problem for me because, I have a really big vision for myself in my life, and I have for a very long time since I started working with Matthew all these years ago. Okay. I met him when I was in California in a real estate coaching program.
Okay. Yeah.
A family that you would know that was a real estate coaching family way back in the day. And so I started to create this vision for myself in my life, and it is rooted in making a positive impact in the lives of entrepreneurs, and that's what I do. And so in this vision I have for myself, I can see really big things. I see a lot of media, like what we're doing here, at a pretty grand scale. I'm training myself. We were talking in some pre-show chat about, my keynote speaking business that, I have every intention to speak in front of thousands and thousands of people in stadiums and all over the world. And so the reason I say it's kind of a problem for me is that being fearless, I think about what I'm creating and I'm like, well, okay, but now what else?
Yeah.
Like now what's next? And I have the power to bring my vision into reality. So the benefit is, rather than being distracted by concerns about myself and fear and what about, and do I have permission and can I do this and what is she doing and what is he doing? I can really go after what I am interested in.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, so let's talk about kind of the vision, right? Because it sounds like that's a big part of where this all starts. So, a lot of people that I've talked to in the business world, I mean, I feel like there's quite a varying degree of kind of what people are aiming for, right? That kind of bigger picture vision. So, are you finding that with the people that you work with, do they always bring that to the table? Are you helping them grow that? Is that something that everybody just is going to naturally have and work toward, or is it something you can cultivate and kind of encourage?
That's a really good question. I think that vision and passion are often really misunderstood in the entrepreneurial context. I think there's this conversation that entrepreneurs just have to be passionate.
Yeah.
And I think there's an element of truth to that because entrepreneurship is so hard. I've been self-employed and I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My parents were entrepreneurs. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. Wow. I mean, I live, eat, sleep this stuff. I'm a PhD candidate studying entrepreneurship, particularly well-being and success among entrepreneurs. And there is this common conversation that entrepreneurs absolutely have to be passionate.
Sure.
And the research does not show that.
Okay.
There are a lot of successful small business owners and entrepreneurs who what they're passionate about is what their business provides for themselves, for their lives, for their family, for their community, for being a contributing community member, for the difference that they make in their employees' lives, and they're successful with that. They have multi-million-dollar businesses, but they see it as something that's a little more mechanical for them, and that's okay.
Interesting.
It is okay. Now, I think when you're in a startup context, like a lot of your audiences here with Bourbon Friday, the startup context requires so much more energy and passion to bring into the business. So that's a bit of a distinction. And I think that what we have to do as entrepreneurs is find a way to simultaneously be passionate about bringing our vision into reality, and not let that passion and that vision take over our well-being, which is what happens often in the startup context. People don't necessarily prioritize sleep, exercise, good health, having a free mind that's not cluttered by unkept promises, information they're withholding from other people in their lives. Not being held back from, wanting to express yourself in a certain way, but not doing it and having that kind of twist you up and tangle you up. I used to be tangled up like that. I was somebody who, a lot of years ago, again, before I started working with Matthew Ferry, I knew that I wanted to make a really big difference in the world. I wanted to make a big impact, and I didn't feel free to do it. And I was just tangled up. So I think the more free we can be, the better. Now, just going back to your question about vision, I think that a lot of people have a vision for themselves and their lives. Most people do. Most entrepreneurs do. And they don't necessarily feel free and unleashed to execute on that vision. I think that's a bigger problem. I said problem or opportunity than not having the vision at all.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so let's explore that a little bit. I mean, what is preventing? So somebody has kind of this innate vision, because now that you bring that up, I mean, that I've seen that.
You can kind of see that with yourself and with friends.
Well, of course, and we talk a lot about people hitting ceilings where they're capable of obviously doing more. Or they could hire another person and leverage that, but they just don't. And they sit at this place for sometimes years and years and years, and there's just no reason that they can't move past it. But it sounds like this is a big part of it, right? So why is somebody putting those limitations on themselves, or is that coming often from culture or family? Or
Yes. Culture, family, fear. I think that, particularly for entrepreneurs, when we're doing things that are new and different, and we're giving birth to something, we're bringing something into reality, there is risk associated with that.
Okay, yeah.
And right?
Of course, yeah.
Preaching to the choir here, we both know.
No, it's risk. Fine.
Right. And with risk comes the opportunity, or the possibility, I should say, of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we have to put everything on the line. And in so doing, we may not be advancing financially at the same level as perhaps some of our peers.
Yep.
I have not. All my money that I make goes back into my business, back into my business. My car is a 2012 Subaru Outback. I love that car. Yeah. I live in a house that's this big. I rent in Richmond Heights, but in the Clayton School District. Oh, okay. So I have I have the experience of a lot of luxury and kind of opulence around me. And there's some people who they're not willing to not have that kind of keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And so that's an example of the kind of thing that can hold someone back, is that they want to make more money. And so they're not going to do the risky thing perhaps. And they're just going to keep doing this thing that maybe they don't love, but it pays the bills and it makes the money, and they can drive the 2020 Subaru Outback. The brand new car, sure, right? So I think ultimately it comes down to fear.
Okay.
And it comes down to fear of oftentimes what other people are going to think of us.
Gotcha. Well, that makes a lot of sense for what we do with the video, because we see this all the time.
We were just talking about this.
Right? I mean, people, again, it always seems very illogical. I mean, I think of all the videos ever posted, I've only ever seen 2 negative comments in the past 3 years. I mean, it's incredibly all positive, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that posts it, everybody loves it. And yet, no matter what you say to them, before they do it, they resist it, right? I mean, because it's all these irrational fears.
That's right.
So what do you do to get somebody past that point? So if they know I need to do this thing to improve myself, I'm so scared of it.
Yeah.
What are some tips and tricks there?
I was just having a conversation with a client about this on Monday, and she's someone who is a consultant and has been in her consulting business for about 5 years. And she sees what I'm doing from a marketing perspective. We were talking about video. We were talking about what we call, quote, putting yourself out there. There's a lot of people who want to put themselves out there, and they're afraid to.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of being embarrassed. They're afraid of doing something stupid. And this particular client was saying that she has this thought of, well, what if people think to me, well, who does she think she is?
Oh, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Who do you think you are? Well, she's who she is, and she knows what she knows. And so I think that what I like to do with people is just go really get to the root cause of what's stopping them from expressing themselves. And it's never just one thing, but it's some version of, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, what will people think about me? People will think I'm stupid, I'm gonna look bad, I'm gonna be embarrassed. It's some version of that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can have those thoughts and still go do the thing anyway.
Good point. Yeah, true.
Go do it anyway. Now, for me, Nick, and I think the same is true for you from what I've seen about your career as it's grown, that when my commitment is clear, I have a commitment to make a positive impact in the lives of entrepreneurs all over the world. And I am very clear about that commitment. So when my commitment is in front of me, I will do things that have me get out of my own way and have me set aside my concern for this person, Erin, and to not be to be bigger than myself.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah.
We
talk about when people are on camera, focusing on who you're talking to as opposed to who
it's
yourself,
not about
right?
you.
Well, because you can only really focus on one person at a time, and it gets you out of your head.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's great. So we got to move on here. We're about to get to this next segment, but I do want to add a couple more questions for promotional reasons. Right?
Okay.
So a lot of good stuff today. If somebody is needing some help in their business and they want to talk to you about coaching, that kind of stuff, tell us how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So blackdresscircle.com.
Okay.
You can find me on the socials at erinjoy or erinjoy.blackdresscircle.
Okay.
And I work primarily with women-owned companies.
Yes.
I work with CEOs, entrepreneurs, founders, everywhere from the startup to the about the 50 million annual revenue range.
Okay.
So that's called first stage and second stage entrepreneurship.
Cool.
The second stage is the part that's most kind of neglected in the United States. You know, women, once they break $1 million in annual revenue to 50 million, there are fewer services for those size companies. So yeah, you can reach out to me online, reach out to me on my website, and particularly if you're a woman-owned business.
Perfect. All right. And just to recap from earlier, if they want tickets to the Matthew Ferry event, how can they get those as well?
It's the website, or the Eventbrite page is seeyouThere.eventbrite.com.
All right. Easy enough. Very
Easy
cool.
enough.
Well, we got a couple minutes left. So that means we're going to start talking about the bourbon now. We're going to bring Eric onto the show. Eric's the founder of the event, and he's going to tell us what we're drinking and why. So what do we got?
So we have Ironroot Harbinger XC. And the reason I brought this on is because, you know, you're, as you just said, very focused on women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Now, Ironroot isn't run by women. It's run by two brothers in Denison, Texas. But the reason why this tastes the way it does and how it's made is because of a woman named Nancy Fraley. In the industry, she's known as Nancy the Nose Fraley.
Oh.
And she discovered at a young age she had this ability to be able to pick up minute qualities, smell, taste, and that kind of thing. So after bouncing around and whatever, I mean, she got her law degree. Like, it was very clear maybe she didn't necessarily know where she was going. She decided to start this business. It's actually called Nosing Services.
I love it.
And so now she works with distilleries to be able to find like specific impurities and things like that. And she actually created this. It's the craft whiskey aroma wheel. And she created this for, you know, everyone to be able to use and like really define what these different flavors are. And, you know, I thought that was super appropriate. And also got me thinking about, you know, we're all to a degree consultants, and how much that allows you to have a different level of impact than you would if you were just running one business. And you're helping people. And I'm often very surprised how, as just a web developer and working on people's websites and larger companies, how much I get involved in, well, okay, well, what's your sales process look like? Well, how are you marketing? You know, how are you doing all of these different things? And it really allows you that, and where she's having this huge impact on the industry because she's working with a lot of craft whiskey brands.
That's so cool. And thank you for the thoughtfulness that you put into this to bring a woman into it. And I want to know what you do with the rest of the bourbon after your tasting here.
We put it over there.
Okay, great. Yes.
So Eric, are we going to sniff this and you're going to tell us where we're on the
I have a cold, Nick. So
I don't.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
We'll explore that after the show. We'll see if we can figure that out. Well, we got a minute or two left. We got some events coming up, Eric.
Sure. So there's not a lot going on early next week, but there's a lot going on later in the week. On Wednesday, we have a screening of Boss, the Black Experience in Business at the 9 Network.
Oh, cool.
And this is about Black entrepreneurship in America.
Oh my gosh.
And then also on Wednesday night, we have the Balsa Fall Awards ceremony. A mentee of ours, and we're both on his board, Brian, he won a Balsa Award, so
congrats.
We'll be over there celebrating right over here at Regional Chamber. On Thursday, we have Data Over Instinct Summit from, last week we had Jenny Bristow on. She was talking about that.
She just won a huge award. Talk about a woman entrepreneur doing great things. She just won a huge award for, I can't remember, I just saw it on social media. Okay,
business.
That's right.
That's pretty incredible.
And I did check today at noon, there were still tickets available, but and she even said there weren't very many at all. So then also Thursday, of course, we have Venture Cafe. Highlights of that, we have EQ Leadership Dojo. This is Thinking Like a Samurai. And that, of course, by EQ and Return to Your Power. That we also have Meet the Tastemakers of the Missouri Craft Distillers Guild. I believe they're going to have like an info table at Venture Cafe where they'll be giving samples, but there's also going to be a panel discussion there in the Vanna Room. And then also like a little bit different event that I'd not even heard of before is there's this pitch session by Red Bull Basement University. And this is an international video pitch competition. It's a 60-second pitch where students can record this and then they get put in and eventually get accepted in this international competition. And also that Kylie Summers from Spendet is going to be really talking about how to develop a strong pitch to these kids over there.
Cool.
And on Friday, during the day, we have the Vision Small Business Innovation Symposium. at Moto Museum. This is the region's largest and only inclusion innovation conference here in St. Louis. And every year that happens, and it seems to be really
should
good.
have more inclusive innovation
certainly
events.
should.
We should, but I'm glad we have at least one.
Exactly. And then
my event,
your event,
A Quiet Mind is a high performance mind with Matthew Ferry.
Right, at Innovation Hall.
Innovation Hall.
Yeah. Okay, and then we will also be here, Nick and I. Everybody else apparently is going to your event. Right. We'll be here at Kovo, and we'll have the In Motion Filmmaking Conference on the show. We'll have Dan Paris, who is the conference director, executive director of continuity, and he's a filmmaker at Speak Up. And also we'll have Bobby Hiera, and he's an award-winning documentarian. He's also the executive producer and director of a YouTube series called Hanging with Los Henrys, which has 35 million views on YouTube. So
we had some questions.
Yeah, so we might have some questions. Yeah.
Hey, I want to give your viewers an opportunity to save $10 on their tickets by using Take 10.
Okay.
When you buy your ticket, the tickets today are $79, so that'll bring your ticket down to $69 for a 90-minute program. Cool. And there'll be other great entrepreneurs in the room, so great networking. And just go to seeyouThere.eventbrite.com and use the promo code TAKE10.
And then one more thing I do want to mention is if you have an event coming up in St. Louis, make it easy on me. Just send it to events@bourbonfriday.show, and that'll go directly to me, and you may be featured on the show.
Yeah, no guarantee, of course.
No guarantee.
Right?
Okay.
We got to screen it a little bit, but
It is your show. You do own the show, right? I mean, you get to choose what you put on here.
Exactly.
And thank you for choosing me.
Of course. Well, thank you for joining us. Eric, as always, thank you for providing us with the bourbon and the events. And Erin, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
It was a really good conversation, and it'd be nice to continue it if we had more time, of course. But we'll talk more after the show. For those of you tuning in, we do want to thank you for joining us today. We are wrapping things up. This is the Bourbon Friday Show. We're live here at Kovo every Friday at 4:30. So thank you so much to Kovo for hosting us. Thank you to EQ for always distributing the show and supporting us. And of course, as always, thank you to Ian Brown behind the camera for producing, and I assume making us look good. We'll find out after the fact. So thanks for tuning in, and join us again next Friday at 4:30 for the Bourbon Friday Show. We'll see you then.
Hey, thanks for watching. We truly hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share this episode, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. To stay up to date, follow us on social. We are at Bourbon Fridays on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. See you next time.